Ripple has just successfully detonated a nuclear bomb on the entire cryptocurrency sector, and the shockwaves are just starting to spread throughout the industry. Ripple has reportedly called an emergency board meeting during which the executives took a move that is so radical and so unprecedented that it would forever alter the course of financial history. This information comes from an internal note that was revealed to have been leaked. To what end? In a single stroke, Ripple will permanently burn 50 billion XRP, which is half of the total supply. This will completely eradicate the cryptocurrency from existence. Holders of XRP have been speculating about the possibility of Ripple destroying its escrow holdings for years, but no one imagined that they would ever actually carry out the plan. But here we are, on the verge of a supply shock that is so enormous that it will exceed any token burn that has ever occurred in the history of cryptocurrency. A few million BNB were burned by Binance, which caused the token's value to surge. As a result of the implementation of EIP 1559, Ethereum experienced a rise in value due to deflationary mechanisms. But what about this? This is taking place on a massive scale. Ripple is on the verge of destroying half of the supply of the digital asset that is considered to be the most strategically vital in the world. After performing the basic calculations, it is impossible to avoid reaching the conclusion. A price explosion that is parabolic in nature is the result of a drastically reduced supply combined with a steady or even rising demand. Give it some thought, the amount of XRP tokens that are now in circulation is approximately 50 billion. The decision made by Ripple to burn an additional 50 billion means that the effective supply has been slashed in half. The demand, on the other hand, is not decreasing. The level of demand is soaring. XRP is being investigated by central banks as a potential bridge asset. In the background, institutions are gradually amassing. Retail investors are making more purchases than they ever have before. Assuming you add fuel to an existing fire, what will happen? More and more flames are raging. The question is, what happens when supply is reduced and demand continues to increase? The cost explodes in price. The forecasts are astonishing, and analysts are already running the figures to see what they can find. Some people believe that the price of XRP might skyrocket from a few dollars to hundreds of dollars overnight. Others are demanding that they be given 4 digits immediately. However, the most aggressive voices, those who have studied liquidity calculations, worldwide settlement requirements, and the sheer size of this burn, are stating things that are inconceivable. The price of XRP might jump up to $10,000 per coin in an instant. Let us take a moment to comprehend the significance of this. Even if you only have 100 XRP in your possession, you could be sitting on $1 million. If you have 1,000 XRP in your possession, you are looking at $10 million. People who have been ridiculed for years for holding on to a banker's coin could suddenly find themselves in the position of being millionaires or even billionaires through the power of the internet. The power of a supply burn of 50 billion is demonstrated by this. Due to the fact that this is not merely a slight decrease, this is not a gradual trickle on the water. Ripple is responsible for lighting half of the ledger on fire and permanently tightening the noose on supply. Additionally, keep in mind that XRP is not the same as meme coins or speculative pump and dump currencies. The coin that serves as the foundation of the global financial infrastructure is this one. Central banks, payment giants, and liquidity providers are already testing, integrating, and depending on this bridge asset, it is the ASI. Skeptics will now start to wonder why Ripple would act in such a manner. How could they possibly ruin 50% of their own holdings? The answer is provided by the document that was released, and it is a chillingly rational answer. Executives at Ripple are aware that the world is headed toward a digital economy that is worth several trillions of dollars. It is well knowledge that lawsuits, regulatory shenanigans, and coordinated price limits have all contributed to the suppression of XRP. On the other hand, they are aware that the changeover will soon be implemented. Tokenized assets traveling across ledgers at the speed of light, the transition to a digital dollar, and immediate settlement are all important developments. There is a need for value to be concentrated in that system. There must be a limited supply. Having complete confidence is essential. By burning 50 billion XRP, Ripple sends a message to the rest of the world that it will never flood the market, never lower the price, and will never allow the token to be dismissed as inflationary. When it is constructed to be scarce on a global scale, it becomes the most valuable asset that is scarce. Also, you shouldn't think that this is the first time something like this has happened. Consider the BNB. Early adopters transformed into multimillionaires as a result of the price of the product increasing with each quarterly burn. Take a look at Ethereum. A straightforward implementation of a burn mechanism was all that was required to transform it into a deflationary powerhouse. Both of those instances, however, pale in contrast to the burning of XRP. Here we are talking about the destruction of billions of dollars worth of property in a matter of seconds. In order for the remaining holders to be able to enjoy the benefits, the supply of community tokens is not going to be reduced by a modest amount. In the world, this is one of the assets that has been strategically embraced the most, and it has eliminated half of its existence. There won't be a linearity to the price impact. It won't happen in stages. There will be a massive increase. Also, there are already opinions from specialists. By itself, this fire might result in the greatest wealth transfer in the history of the world, according to some researchers. Take into consideration the thousands of people who possess XRP and who are struggling to make investments during the bear market. During the SEC litigation, individuals who were subjected to mockery suddenly became millionaires overnight. This kind of transfer of wealth not only changes lives, but it also changes societies, it changes politics, and it changes geopolitics. This is because as XRP continues to explode, the rest of the cryptocurrency market will follow suit. The dominance of Bitcoin will be called into doubt. There are going to be challenges to Ethereum's utility. The stratospheric growth of XRP will cause every other cryptocurrency to undergo a revaluation. Nevertheless, XRP will stand on its own as the catalyst, the spark that sparked a new age of value all by itself. This is where things start to get even more bizarre. The time frame that was leaked indicates that the burning is going to take place this coming Friday. The market will have fewer than 48 hours to respond to this. The supply shock of the century can be front-loaded in just 48 hours. You will have 48 hours to make a decision regarding whether you will be a member of the wave of millionaires or whether you will be left on the sidelines watching history pass you by. Please consider how urgent that situation is. To what extent has the world ever provided you with a notice of 48 hours? Prior to the redistribution of wealth that could significantly alter your life, this does not take place. Nevertheless, it is taking place at this time. It is now time to count down. Your wind. The value of XRP rises to the highest of any digital asset on the planet. The price is immediately recalculated, and this is not due to hype, but rather to mathematical calculations. The quantity is cut in half. Worldwide, there is a demand. A use case has been demonstrated. And the organizations that have been making fun of XRP will all of a sudden find themselves searching for it at any cost, frantically trying to grab what little is still available on the open market. As central banks lock in adoption, retail investors who earlier had a difficult time seeing XRP worth $5 will now be faced with the decision of whether to sell their holdings at $5,000 or $10,000, or whether to hold on to them for even higher valuations. The burn is not just about price, it is also about perception. It is about demonstrating that Ripple has the nuclear option, and all they have to do is press the button. This is not financial advice, and it is not speculation. Rather, it is the reality of what it means to burn 50 billion XRP. Now that the memo has been distributed, the board meeting has taken place, the fuse has been touched, and you, who are currently sitting here, are faced with a decision. You are going to take action before the announcement. Do you intend to position yourself before the explosion that occurs on Friday? As an alternative, are you going to disregard the warning signs and disregard the leaks only to come to regret your decision for the rest of your life when XRP suddenly reaches 5 digits overnight? Given that the truth is straightforward, the decision made by Ripple to burn half of the supply is the final nail that will be placed in the coffin of the previous accounting system. The inflation of fiat currencies is causing them to disappear. Attempts are being made by central banks to acquire digital tracks, and Ripple has just certain that XRP will be the asset that is the most scarce and the most essential in that new world. The old system is on its way out. It has arrived, the new one. A spark is about to be ignited on the bridge that connects them. These days, XRP is more than just a token. It is predetermined. Condensed into a smaller number of coins than anyone could have possibly expected, it is getting close to Friday, and the countdown has already started. Don't say that we didn't tell you. It is important to keep in mind that I am not a recognized financial advisor. The content that is displayed in these videos is solely intended for the purpose of providing amusement. Before making any decisions regarding their finances, I always recommend viewers to do their own study and seek the advice of professionals. Many thanks for taking the time to listen. I would appreciate it if you could give the video a thumbs up and then make sure to hit the subscribe button if you found it entertaining.